The town of Redwater was always quiet at night, normally quiet. But tonight, the silence felt alive. The air was thick and damp, heavy with the smell of rain and something metallic he couldn't identify. Street lamps flickered intermittently, casting shadows that twisted and stretched across the wet pavement. Detective Angelo Moretti adjusted his coat, pulling it tighter around his shoulders. His breath fogged in the cold night air, and he could feel the hairs on his neck standing up. He had walked these streets countless times, but never like this. It was as if the buildings themselves were watching him, holding their breath. He remembered the rumors he'd heard all week, whispers in the precinct, hushed conversations in the bar. Don Silvestro is back, 12 years dead, gone, buried. And yet, the stories persisted. A distant cat screeched, echoing off the walls of narrow alleyways, but Angelo could swear it wasn't just a cat. The sound carried a weight, a menace, as if warning him to turn back. He stepped faster, gripping his flashlight like a lifeline. Every corner he passed seemed alive, every window darkened. Faint noises, footsteps, whispers, the scuff of a shoe drifted from alleys he couldn't see. Angelo's heart hammered. "This is insane," he whispered. "It's just a rumor, just a story." But as he neared Marrow Street, his instincts screamed danger. Across the street, a black vintage car idled. Its engine purred softly, though no one was inside. Smoke curled from the tailpipe, twisting like a living thing. Neon signs reflected off the wet asphalt, painting the street in streaks of red and green. Angelo slowed, listening. The night was silent, save for a faint whisper carried by the wind. He could have imagined it, but he swore he heard someone, or something, call his name. He stepped closer to the old butcher shop, the door creaking slightly in the wind. The wooden sign above the entrance swung lazily, groaning. The smell of old meat and rust drifted out. His flashlight flickered once, twice. Shadows writhed on the walls like they had a mind of their own. Angelo's hand went to his gun. Cold steel. Comforting. Yet useless if what was waiting wasn't human. He paused, took a deep breath. Then he whispered, almost to himself, "Silvestro, are you really back?" The wind picked up, carrying the scent of smoke, wet concrete, and decay. And then suddenly, all the streetlights above him went out at once. Darkness swallowed the street. He froze. Every instinct screamed to run, but somewhere deep inside, a part of him knew he couldn't. Not yet. Not until he saw for himself. 2 seconds passed. 3. Shadows stretched unnaturally around him. A faint scratching sound echoed from the alley beside him. Angelo strained his ears. Then a whisper. "You shouldn't have come." The hairs on his neck stood up, his pulse raced, and in that moment he realized the night wasn't just quiet. The night was waiting. Angelo's hand trembled as he pushed open the heavy wooden door. The smell hit him immediately, a mixture of old meat, damp concrete, and something metallic, sharp. His flashlight flickered, casting thin, shaky beams across the walls. Rusted hooks swayed slightly, as if touched by invisible hands. He stepped cautiously forward, every creak of the wooden floor echoing like a scream in the empty space. In the corner of his eye, shadows moved too quickly to be natural. His mind raced. Is this the dawn? Or something worse? At the back, the basement door loomed. It was slightly ajar, allowing a whisper of cold air to creep out. Angelo descended slowly, gripping the railing. Every step was a risk. Each stair creaked like a bone snapping. On the floor, scattered old crime scene photos caught the light. They showed Silvestro's body from 12 years ago, eyes wide open, staring back. Each photo seemed to shift slightly, as though the eyes followed him. Angelo swallowed hard, sweat trickling down his temple. Then came the dragging sound, slow, wet, heavy, something being pulled across the concrete floor. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Nothing. But the sound grew louder. It circled him. He froze. Footsteps echoed behind him, not his own. "Hello?" he whispered, voice shaking. Silence answered. A shadow stretched across the wall, not human. Angles bent where they shouldn't. Angelo's pulse thundered in his ears. He wanted to run, but his legs felt heavy. Then a voice, low and gravelly, whispered just behind him. "Redwater never forgets its debts." Angelo spun, shining his flashlight. Nothing. But the basement felt alive, breathing around him. Dust floated in slow spirals, catching the dim light. Hooks swayed, photos shifted again. He backed toward the stairs, mind screaming. A loud crash echoed from the corner. Something had moved. Angelo jumped, stumbling over a crate. He barely caught himself. The flashlight flickered violently. A cold breeze brushed past his neck, carrying a faint whisper. "You shouldn't be here." Heart hammering, he forced himself forward, climbing the stairs inch by inch. The darkness seemed to pull at him, almost alive. Every sense told him to leave. But deep down, he knew he couldn't, not until he saw the truth. Angelo stumbled out of the basement, heart pounding. The shop felt colder now, unnatural. On the counter lay something that made his stomach twist. A gold ring. The infamous Silvestro ring, engraved with a black serpent. He reached for it, but it moved, slowly, deliberately, sliding across the counter toward him, scraping the wood with a sound that made his teeth ache. And then he saw the silhouette. The figure in the doorway, taller, closer, pale skin, hollow cheeks, fedora low over dark eyes. Angelo's instinct screamed, "Run!" but his feet felt glued. "Detective," the figure rasped, "you took everything from me." "You're dead," Angelo stammered, voice shaking. "Dead? In Redwater, death is a suggestion." The black vintage car outside revved to life. Shadows poured from its windows, slithering across the pavement like liquid darkness. Angelo's mind raced. The figure raised a hand and the shadows obeyed, writhing around him. "Tonight, debts are settled," the figure said, voice calm but deadly. "One way or another." Angelo's thoughts raced. He could make a run for the street, but the shadows blocked every exit. He reached for his gun, only to find the chamber empty. Panic surged. The figure stepped closer. Angelo noticed small details. The ring on his finger glimmered unnaturally, as if alive. The eyes, dark pits, watched him, seeing every thought. "You hunted my family," the figure whispered. "Now my family hunts you." Angelo backed toward the door, heart racing. Shadows bent unnaturally, limbs twisting, heads tilting impossibly. He realized this wasn't just a man, this was Redwater itself, alive and exacting revenge. Angelo burst into the street, lungs burning, heart hammering. The night stretched endlessly, dark and oppressive. Whispers floated through the wind, hundreds of voices calling his name, mocking him. The black vintage car's headlights flared. In the light, dozens of shadows formed, humanoid but wrong. Limbs bent at unnatural angles, heads tilted in ways that defied reality. Silvestro emerged from the shadows, calm, hands clasped behind his back, observing Angelo like a predator. "You hunted my family," he said. "Now my family hunts you." Angelo's hand went to his gun, empty. Every bullet lost in the basement chaos. Panic surged, but he forced himself to think. Every escape route blocked, every shadow inching closer, gliding silently across the asphalt. Cold fingers brushed his neck, shoulders, whispering death. His pulse spiked. The wind carried a chorus of laughter, faint and cruel. Silvestro leaned close, voice a rasp. "In Redwater, the dead don't stay buried." The streetlights exploded in sparks. Darkness swallowed everything. Angelo screamed, but the sound vanished into the night. Silence returned, heavy and oppressive, broken only by the faint flicker of the lamps and the distant rumble of the black car disappearing into the shadows.